Hey folks, this is Wistful Deal Hill, and this is the last day of 2024, folks. This is the last day. Tomorrow is going to be 2025, and I want to express myself and feelings on this year as a whole and the amazing support and how much my channel has grown throughout this year. It's truly amazing to me, and I think it's really great and everything. A prime example I feel with this is the MLP Horror AUs. I started this all the way back in January of last year. Earlier this year, excuse me, I believe it's gonna be last year tomorrow, but earlier this year today, as of this video, um, I started the MLP Horror Use all the way back in like January, and since then, you folks have been skyrocketing. You've been subscribing and leaving comments and likes and everything, and I'm overall grateful and happy that you folks have been giving me so much support throughout this year because it's truly astonishing to me how much growth we've had this year and how much you folks have been supporting me and everything. It's really great, and I'm super happy for that. And I'm definitely going to continue this next year here with the MLP Horror AUs. Alongside the other stuff outside of it, I really want to talk to you folks in this video here about my overall happiness with this year and everything, with your folks and everything, and some of the stuff that I look forward to for next year. But I want to get this year here first of 2024, and one of the things that I'm really proud of that turned out was the with some of the dementia music review albums or whatever that I cover and that I talk about. A prime example of this that I did do was all the way back in February, where I covered Everywhere at the End of the Time by The Caretaker. If you don't know what Everywhere at the End of Time is, it's basically a 6.5 hour long music project that's supposed to portray the symptoms of dementia and the certain stages that cover based on that dementia and disease and everything. And it's made to give you a musical feel of that certain stage with that music and everything, along with the art cover and everything. It's stuff that I've really been kind of passionate about and fascinated on, but I take my time with them and I do it months in advance and everything because it is a more serious topic and everything, and it's something that I'd like to take more to heart on and everything because with stuff like post awareness and everything, right, and with Everywhere at the End of Time and everything, it's a weird fashion, I would say, that I kind of grown on it, the fandom and everything. There's been a bunch of, and I mean like too much to even keep track of me at this point, but there's been like a bunch of fan projects that have come out since the ending of Everywhere at the End of Time, and the overall different stories and the different ideas and everything really sort of intrigues me. But again, I'd like to keep it separate and I'd like to space it on purpose because it is something on a more serious subject, and it's something that I try to remain taboo on because you know, I feel that there's a difference here, right? So, because when I do Jamie or James, music reactions that he does with his hyper hop music and everything, that's more based on the music that you can vibe more and get a beat on and everything with, and just overall listen to more casually, even if the lyrics are dark. But I feel like with something like Everywhere at the End of Time, or The Grand Decline, or All the Grand Memories of All the Lovely Years, um, those types of musics I feel, or videos, or more based on a more serious note. It's not really meant to bob your head in and get down with the music and vibe and everything. That's more to give you a genuine feel of what it's like to suffer through a brain disease and everything, you know? I feel like it would be really kind of fucked up if someone was bobbing their head and vibing to post awareness, you know? Like, that's not how this works. That you're not really meant to get a feel for, well, I mean, you could, but you're not really meant to listen to it on a casual light like that. You know, it's more based on a more serious note and everything. And we've done a couple of those types of videos this year, folks. Firstly, because all the way back, actually, last year, 2 years as of tomorrow, but as of last year, I actually first I did all the grand memories of all the lovely years by Dante Timberwolf, and that's still one of my favorite fan projects because I don't know, I just get a certain good feel with that, despite the suffering and everything, and I really love that project and everything, and the only reason I made that video all the way back was that I saw no videos covering that or whatever, and I figured to take matters into my own hands and to finally cover that music album. Because I was like, you know what? I'm going to cover the whole entire thing. I'm going to discuss it, and I figured I'm going to talk about the different art covers and everything. I'm debating still to myself on whether or not I should redo it or just not worry about it because it's not inherently bad, but it was definitely my first time, and first times isn't always the best, but I overall wanted to be more genuine and serious rather than lighthearted and goofy because I feel like I would be extremely disingenuous. But anyway, and in that video, I covered Everywhere at Dinner Time only briefly. I originally, funny enough, was going to do Everywhere at Dinner Time first and then all the grand memories of all the lovely years to kind of have Everywhere at Dinner Time be a seed plant in a sense, you know, and then have all the grand memories of all the lovely years be a tree or whatever in a sense, you know, to get a more feel for it, whatever. But I decided to go ahead and just talk about Everywhere at the end of time only briefly in that video just so that you folks can have a bit of a better understanding of what I was actually getting into, especially with it being the first time around and talked about and everything on the channel. And ever since then, after that, I then decided, okay, let's go ahead and actually cover Everywhere at the end of time after that, you know, and express my feelings on that and talk and everything. And then after that, I decided to do Everywhere But the Center of Your Mind, which is still a really unique fan project, I feel, because instead of it being based on dementia, like 90% of the other fan projects and everything in the caretaker community, it's based on depression. And I feel like that's a very unique spin and everything. And plus, we can kind of relate a bit more. I feel like folks can relate a bit more to that album and everything because we all get depressed from time to time on like getting dementia or whatever. But I feel like dementia and depression kind of go two hand in hand in a sense, you know, where if you get dementia, then you're probably going to be depressed, and you're depressed because you have dementia or something. You know, it's like it's an interesting yin yang in a sense, I feel. You know, the two sides of the same coin kind of thing. I find that very interesting. But one of the videos or series of videos that I'm honestly mostly proud of is The Grand Decline by the Artiflex or whatever, you know. And I originally was going to do something different instead, a different fan project, but since The Grand Decline was so close to completion and since it was nearly there and everything, I figured to go ahead and cover it anyway because I knew it would be good. And plus, I like to cover things that are complete. You know, I don't like to cover things or talk about things if they're not completed. And I'd like to, so I waited on purpose for the Grand Decline to be completed so that I can then, you know, go ahead and make a video on it and everything. And honestly, the Grand Decline was one of the most hardest videos to make, to think on, the longest to edit and upload and everything. And it was definitely a heavy beast in of itself, even just talking about it and looking over at it. And that's why I specifically did 3 parts purposefully instead of just all together, because I knew it would be way too much for me. The whole thing has 36 visits total, 37 if you want to count the alternative ending spoilers. That's pretty much everywhere at the end of time. If it had freaking 36 stages or whatever, yeah, it's fucking huge. And with the whole project being like 26 and a half hours or whatever long, it's pretty freaking big, in of itself. So that's why I purposefully did 3 parts, on purpose. I divided it up by 3, 12, 24, 36, of course counting 37, but it whatever. That's honestly been one of my most that's been honestly one of my most proud videos that I've made this year, or series of videos that I've made. The only thing I wish that I didn't do was talk so much at the ending of part 3 or whatever. I talked for like 40 minutes running my mouth or whatever, and I kind of wish I didn't talk necessarily so much. And yeah, I do wish I could have said things a bit differently. Not differently, added a bit more stuff on that ending though. My God, that was a powerful ending too. But overall, I'm super happy with how the Grand Decline turned out. And I'm overall generally happy with the reception that these types of videos, dementia music cover videos, have been turning out overall. It's something I don't do very often because again, it's dementia, and I don't really like to flex on it or anything by any means. And even if I took it to heart like I always do, and even if I poured my thought my phone was ringing though, but anyway, I think that even if I put my heart into it and my not just my passion but my soul, my care, and the overall hardships of not just dementia, but those affected by it with the person infected, and just the overall hardships of forgetfulness and the scariness and everything. If I were to upload that weekly or monthly or whatever, even, I feel it would be extremely disingenuous because, again, it is on a serious subject. And again, like I said, it's not like compared to James music, where despite the dark lyrics and everything, you can still get a vibe to it and casually listen to it. Post awareness and stuff is not really meant to get a vibe in. It's not the type of music that you can just tune into and listen to. It's made to give you more of a feeling and an understanding of what the suffering is like and everything. And I generally have a fondness love with this caretaker fan project community here. Honestly, I don't really talk about it much, but I overall have a genuine kind of weird fascination, passion with this dementia music genre, as I so call it. Because that's what pretty much kind of is. And I don't really listen to them too much, but it's something that I don't know. It's just a weird fascination that I have, but I take my time with it, and I take my patience with it, and I don't even listen to it too much, especially with that post awareness stuff, because like I said, it's not meant for casual listen. It's meant for, and it's not even competitive either. It's meant more on a serious note. It's like watching a serious movie compared to a silly movie in a sense. And yeah, I definitely plan on doing more of that next year here with 2025. I am definitely going to cover more fan projects and everything because it's something I'm generally passionate on, and it's something that I really like covering and talking about from time to time. Of course, it's going to be from time to time. That's the key word. So that's going to be within a couple months or whatever. I do that on purpose to space it out and to not overly push on the topic of dementia, because again, it's a serious subject and I'd like to take things overall to heart and to overall, excuse me, I'm having some nose plug or whatever, and take it overall with genuine care and the utmost respect. That's why I do it per months in advance, not just a month, but months. So like 3, 4, 5, or whatever. I do that on purpose. And it's something that I overall look forward to. And I hope you folks are there with me along the way because it's something that I generally like to do. And it's something that I honestly look forward to from time to time covering these. But anyway, enough about the caretaker post awareness stuff or whatever. One of the things that I also look forward to this year is Lackadaisy. I saw the pilot all the way up in like what March or something or whatever, like a month later after I did my Everywhere at the time. No, no, it had to be right before. It had to be right after Everywhere but the Center of Your Mind, or beforehand, I guess. It's somewhere around there. I don't have the timeline completely up there or whatever. But anyway, last spring or whatever, I saw the pilot of Lackadaisy and I made a reaction to it along with the cute little mini episode that came out last autumn or whatever. And I'm overall glad I did that because, man, Lackadaisy seems really damn good. I'm a sucker for I'm a sucker for old 19th century stuff. So like the 30s, 20s, 40s, 50s, 60s even. I'm a sucker for all that kind of stuff. It was, yes, part of it was thanks to the caretaker and the caretaker fan community with the old samples and everything, and whatnot. But yeah, I'm an overall sucker for early 19th century stuff, and it's something that I love. I love Mafia, the Mafia games. I like Godfather, or at least I haven't seen Godfather, but I'm really interested in seeing Godfather. I'm really into early 19th century stuff, the 20s, 30s, 40s. I really get a kick out of that stuff. And since Lackadaisy is legit set right before the Great Depression, I'm very curious on that. I'm super curious if they're even going to move over into that possibly since it's like so damn close. The Great Depression didn't happen until like 1929, I think, or whatever. Or at least that's when it started to shift a bit. And then 1930, and then everything just crumbled to bits or whatever. I'm very curious if they're gonna touch on that in the series and season 2 or 3 or whatever, if there's even another season. But yeah, I am super excited for Lackadaisy because, like I said, I saw the pilot, I loved it, and I saw the mini little episode with Ivy when she was like, I don't know, 10 or whatever, and World War I, excuse me, legit just ended or something like that, my guess, or it's happening. I got the timeline a bit mixed, but I overall have a general idea of, the setting and everything. It's somewhere around there, and I definitely look forward to it. It's one of the few indie shows that I am generally excited for. Well, yes, I do like Digital Circus. Digital Circus is pretty cool. It's not my personal favorite, but I do like Digital Circus. That show seems really cool and everything. It does make me think of the 90s because of the video game aesthetic or whatever. And Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss are alright to me. They're not really my personal favorite, but it's kind of like McDonald's to me in a sense. It's there because it's there. And I'll go ahead and watch it and check it out or whatever. But it's not something I really crave that much. That's just my personal view and opinion. But lackadaisy, man, I'm so freaking excited for this. I truly am, folks. I really am. And also some other things as well. There's some things I don't look forward to next year, honestly, but you know what? At the end of the day, there's some things you can't control. Um, and I also have some set goals for next year too. Aqua, water. So, other than Lackadaisy and more dementia music albums that I'm gonna cover, from time to time this coming 2025 or whatever, I have an ideal plan that I want to do for the MLP Horror AUs going forward here with this. Because what I did before here, folks, with this year is that I would constantly mostly just do new, and that's all I would do is a new and different MLP Horror AU, just new, 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 new. And what I want to do this year is I want to work better towards doing sequel videos to that AUs. So, like, I want to have a more mindful update on when to take a look at a horror AU, see if it's been updated or whatnot, instead of doing what I kind of have been doing. Well, I will completely forget about a horror AU for almost a year, and then I would finally come back and everything. I don't want to do that again. I want to at least wait till at least a month. Again, these MLP horror AUs take time and everything, and I understand that. But I want to do at least wait until a month is the minimum, is when I can say, okay, it's time to do an MLP horror AU again and everything. I want to do that again and everything. I have been keeping up to date with some MLP horror AUs. A prime example that I can think of is My Little Fungus and the Lavender Incident, and those are like the only two that I can primarily think of that I kept up to date. But like all the others, I would just brush off and keep adding in new and new. And it's also gone to a point to where I completely forgot, not completely, but like I kind of forgotten some of the MLP horror AUs because either some of the titles would blend in with each other, or they would sound similar, or similar diseases or whatever. I've kind of lost a bit of track on the different MLP horror AUs and everything. And plus, I always try to find something unique and interesting instead of just throwing in an MLP horror AU just for the sake of it. I don't want to become like a content farm or whatever of the horror genre. I never want to be a content farm. God, I have no reason for that. But yeah. So I want to not just add more MLP horror AUs, but keep up to date with them, so that if they shit so that if they get updated or whatever, I want to keep track of them more so that I can make more videos on them if needed be or whatever is what I'm trying to say. Instead of waiting months and months or even a year or two later and then I finally cover them back or whatever. I don't want to really do that again, is what I'm trying to say. And speaking of the MLP horror AUs briefly here, I've noticed something very interesting and peculiar with the MLP horror AUs. Because a couple weeks ago, right, I decided to look back because I was like, okay, this has really been a long time. Let's really see, excuse me, let's really see what's been updated or not, and honestly, over half of the MLP horror AUs, or about half of them, have been deleted or set to private or erased or something like that. A lot of these MLP horror AUs have been quite gone. Now, there's some that do stay, that haven't been deleted or erased or whatever, but quite a bunch of them have been gone, and I can't get them back or whatever. It is kind of fun. It is kind of interesting now, and I find some kind of fondness to it when I do make an MLP horror AU, only for months to be have that AU be erased down the road, because you folks can now at least come back and watch that video, even if you can no longer visit them, again now or whatever. My only theory on this as to why is that it could be something with a mental illness, it could be self doubt, it could be they got bullied into deleting them. I'm not too entirely sure, but it's something that I've noticed and something I figured to go ahead and point out and discuss with you all, because I've noticed that with a lot of them, they'll just be deleted or gone or whatever. And there has been some moments where I would be confused as to who the creator was or is or whatever. The MLP horror AU can be a bit mixed or whatever here and stuff, generally kind of as a whole. Um, if you folks do remember, I did make a video on the Black Tree Disease creator deleting her account or erasing it or whatever. But luckily, she's gotten support from last I heard, and she's gotten motivation and everything again. And she did a remake, or there's a process of the retake of the Black Tree Disease, which is something I really need to get into and look into now that I think on it, talk on it. But anyway, yeah, so not only has there been a bunch of deletions with the MLP horror AUs and everything, I feel like there's another aspect that I kind of want to talk about, and I don't want you folks to take this the wrong way or anything, but what I want to discuss with you folks is about the fan base, here and everything. And I want to discuss on you folks between, the obvious differences between being a fan of a content creator and overly obsessing over a content creator. A prime example of this, and I'm only going to try to touch on this briefly here, is that with that not safe for work content that one girl tried to make or whatever to get a friend jealous or whatever, um, that wild stuff, that was really wild, that was absolutely crazy, unacceptable, and it makes me think on possibly other folks that overly fan on me that isn't really in my light or something. I feel like I feel like those folks that either really, really love me to the point to, well, it's overly obsessive and we're like entering yandere terms or whatever, well, they will just be so obsessive with me, will they start to fantasize on something that's not really true or grounded in reality, or those certain folks who just really hate me and hate my guts because I don't have the best speech or voice or whatever the hell, right? But luckily, the majority of you folks haven't been either of those things. Yes, there's been some setbacks here and there on that, but through the whole majority of you all, you have been really great and supportive, and I'm just overall glad and happy that you folks have been here with me, on this journey this year, and that you folks have really been, supportive and helpful and caring and everything. It's super nice. It's super nice and wholesome to me. Um, one last thing that I do want to touch on here, what I want to talk about with last year here with this now, is that I really tried to be sociable this year. I really tried to push myself on being more sociable, on Discord and everything, and in the old server of James and everything. And it worked out okay, in the beginning and everything, but once the summer hit and everything, it kind of seemed really kind of hard on me. I'm not saying you folks need to reply on me every time or whatever, but it did kind of dawn on me quite a bit where I, kept trying to make small talk and no one would really even say a damn thing for like a whole month or whatever, but I eventually just decided just to shrug it and not even, worry about it or whatever. But yeah, that kind of dawned on me. Um, the election earlier this year, I did not look forward to it, but it is what it is as well. I lost some friends along the way. Come to think of it, I did lose. There was quite a bit of folks that I lost this year, and probably your folks in this AU fandom have kind of lost as well. Um, Ina, I haven't heard or known her from at least since last March or whatever. I don't know what really happened to her. I guess something happened with her and James or something. I'm not going to try and get into it. I'm not trying to bring up the drama again on his side or whatever, because there definitely has been far too much, ridiculously enough. But anyway, that's on his side and his biz, and I'm not going to try and resurface that up. But there's just been a bunch of folks I've noticed, quite a lot of folks that I've was kind of in touch or whatever that I've kind of lost touch with, later this year. It could be their own personal life, it could be this or that or whatever, and I did lose quite a bunch of friends this year, primarily through some certain drama. I don't really talk about it or really, discuss it or whatever because I don't like to throw my stuff at you folks, but I did lose some friends this year over some dumb drama. I definitely lost some friends thanks to the freaking election because I don't know. That's one reason why I don't like politics in general and everything, is because people just get weird, People get strange and weird because since I'm on the fence and I don't really choose between one side over the other, they just assume what side I'm on and just go with it that way instead of actually listening to my character and listening to my reasons and views and everything. They just threw it off at me. So yeah, that's why I hate politicians and politics. They can piss off personally. They can all fuck off, honestly, because it just divides us even more than it already needs to, and it just splits us for no reason. I feel that's my view and take on that. And also, I did lose a friend recently. He was super depressed. I'm not gonna say his name or anything, so don't bother coming after him or whatever. But he was part of the Caretaker fan community, like I am. The Dementia Music albums and stuff. He was a heavy part of on that and everything, and he actually was a friend of Dante. Honestly enough, which is a very interesting fact. But anyway, he eventually fell into a downward spiral of depression, and I tried to help him the best I could, give him support and everything, and he just kept spiraling down more and more, and eventually he just blocked me, and I just said, okay, whatever, I guess. It's not that I didn't want to help him, but I can't sit and help him if he wasn't going to help himself. I can give someone all the tools I want and the support and love and everything, but if they don't take it and take the steps forward to improvement and everything, then I can't really do anything for them. And that's honestly the honest to God truth with it and everything. And I feel like, excuse me, my voice is really getting dry. But I honestly feel like with mental illness and everything, it's really leaving a heavy impact on society. And why I feel like we really need to step it up more than ever, because things are really declining that way and everything. But anyway, folks, I think that's pretty much it for this video here. I am running my voice very damn dry. But yeah, I overall just wanted to talk to you folks about this year, and I just overall want to thank you all so much for the love and support and changing this channel around. Despite having this channel since 2013, you folks have really changed it up this year for me. And I may not be the biggest YouTuber, I may not even be the greatest, but you know what? I'm overall thankful that you folks have been giving me a chance and that you folks have been shining a light for me and giving me a reason to upload and to share content and to express my love and to express all of the spooky horrors that we're definitely going to check into next year with the horror AUs, with horror games, and even the more grounded horror like Dementia, which I'm definitely going to do some more next year here. I'm definitely going to cover, like I said, I'm definitely going to cover more everywhere at the end of time fan projects and albums and everything. I'm going to take months in advance, of course, on doing that and everything. But I'm overall happy with the positive reception that you folks have been giving me with that whole series and everything. I look forward to Lackadaisy when that finally comes out sometime later this next year and everything. And yeah, definitely some more games I'm going to play, both horror and non horror. I overall look forward to the future, despite some of the setbacks and despite some of the obstacles in the way, and despite some of the downwards of this year and everything. The positives outweigh the cons, and I feel like it's going to be the exact same thing with this year here, this coming 2025 here, as we continue to grow and everything. So, with all of that being said and out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for giving me a chance this year, and thank you all for your love and support. It truly means the world to me that you folks are giving me a chance. It makes me happy that I'm making the content that you folks enjoy, and it makes me happy that you folks are open enough to take a look at different contents, both serious and non-serious, and horror and non-horror. Even if you folks don't watch them as much compared to the MOP horror AUs, it still overall makes me happy now that I generally have an audience that watches my stuff and an audience that I can provide and spread overall spooky joyness and love to. So with all that being said and out of the way, thank you all so much for this year. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to hit the bell icon so you folks don't miss another video or post or whatever that I make down in the future, so that you folks can always be updated. And thank you all for 2024, and thanks to you folks. I'm looking forward to 2025 with you all. So with all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all sooner or later. Bye bye, everyone.